crypto history. We are in a bull run year, and we're gonna talk with Crypto Sully or Sully Crypto about how the historical patterns of Bitcoin and the cycles match up with Ramadan and the post-Eid market. I hope I pronounced it correctly. Sully, is that correct? Eid, is that how you pronounce it?
Eid, yes, that's correct.
Okay, so let's get into it, Sully. Question number one, right? We formed a little of these questions because I really want to know about. I love history, and I also love studying different religions. Being somebody from the Northeast, spending time in Rhode Island and New York, two diverse places in America. I am very, very curious about different religions, and I also spent time in China, living in a
Mm.
building with people from North Korea. I think that's news to you,
Oh
Sully.
well.
And yeah, and people from Sudan. And I befriended them, the people from Sudan. We all were almost like family. It got to the point where we would buy food together, eat together. I would join them when they had events, and I became very curious about the whole Muslim culture. I know there's different schools of Muslim. We'll talk about that in a second. But I
Mm.
really want to know about this because I did do Ramadan once during the UK Olympics. You're from the UK, so that's means a lot to you in your heart. So let's do this. Let me ask the first question. So how have Bitcoin and Ethereum performed during Ramadan from 2010 to 2025 now this year? And how do Hanafi, which is what I believe you are, or Shafi'i trading habits show any patterns in volatility or bull runs?
For myself, when I was looking through that, what I've noticed was it's it's one of those that sort of goes a little bit steady with it. So a lot of people, it obviously it depends like the time of the year and stuff like that. So, but most cases, it's more. I don't think the Muslim market was that big with like crypto and stuff because some were like skeptical and some weren't. So what I noticed was that it's more or less like a situation where they didn't really know too much about that, and therefore it weren't really too sure if it's something that's worth investing into. So it's one of those where actually it performed normally as you'd expect within the crypto market, and it's probably until like very recently where more Muslims have gotten into it, but it just depends on their sector really of Islam.
But I always like to joke though. I think that no matter what sector of Islam you are in, meme coin trading is definitely prohibited during Ramadan, in my opinion. As you know, there's no like, it's not like the Catholic Church where you have an actual leader, right, on the
Mm.
planet that tells you things. You have to read the scriptures for yourself and translate them. And do you read
Yeah.
them in English or do you read them in Islam?
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
sorry,
yeah, I
Arabic,
read them in
Arabic, right?
Arabic. Yeah, but
Sorry.
sometimes I do try to find like translations. But to be honest with you, I'm not really like that religious in within my religion.
But
I'm more
you're
like
religious enough to
spiritual than religious.
you're religious enough to observe Ramadan, so that's you're pretty religious.
Yeah, I mean, I do follow what's required of me as a Muslim, which is to do the Ramadan, because it's a bit like a Muslim that doesn't pray. It's they say that they're equivalent to not being a Muslim at all. A
So
Muslim that
you obviously
doesn't
do the
pray.
prayers and everything, which is good. So we're gonna run through this because we have a lot of things to do today. As you know, we
Yeah,
have our community that we have to attend to after this. Very
absolutely.
secretive community. Like we're like the Illuminati of men's groups. Now, but does the Hanbali school's strictness affect crypto volatility during Ramadan compared to the Maliki's flexibility? And how might this impact post-Eid surges from 2010 to 2025? As you know, I always thought Ramadan was in the summertime because when I did summer Ramadan in the London Olympics, the UK Olympics, I was like, oh look, it's
Yeah,
every summer. It must be really tough because uh, it's summertime. It's hotter. You're more likely to be. You can't drink any liquid, so you're more likely to be rehydrated. But obviously, it changes year to year. This year's in winter. So how does it
yeah.
affect?
So it basically what happens is it actually Ramadan goes back roughly 12 years each year. So it's you know how like obviously with Christmas and like Easter and that sort of thing is always like the same. This situation is more like it actually goes back. So but obviously everything depends on which area of the world that you're in as well, in terms of what happens in terms of its difficulty during Ramadan. If you're in like the southern hemisphere, it's going to be quite tough doing it because that's winter, and obviously because we're in the like summertime now, it's not as bad because it's the shorter period when you break your fast. So, but I know that obviously in places like Norway and Sweden, well, Scandinavia, pretty much like when it's like during the winter time, it's really bad for them where they barely get any sunlight. So I think they only get about like 2 or 3 hours of that.
So
So,
Ramadan
but
is easy. What you're saying is Ramadan is easy for them.
the exact opposite, I'd say. Yeah.
Oh, it's the
Um,
opposite. All right.
during winter time, that is it, right? Yeah, because yeah, the problem is like yeah, because they don't have enough sunlight, they've actually done a rule where they actually allow them about bit more extra time to adjust to it. So if because it's too short, they have a few more hours to make it possible to follow it.
All right. So can you give examples of post-Eid bull runs from 2010 to 2025, and how do Hanfali and Hanbali views on Ramadan trading influence them?
So I'd have to, because I had to like restart the computer there. So I'd have to just have a quick look on that one. But let me just try and open it up now.
Well, last year was there
Second.
a post was there last year during like after you finished Ramadan, like was there a
Yeah.
post bull rally after Eid, or was it during Eid, or what happened?
Um, it's like I said, it's a bit hard to say because the problem is that Eid's never in like the same periods. So you have
When
to
was Eid
like,
last year? When was Eid last year?
well, it's I think it was during June period or something like that.
Okay,
Because we get
so
two Eids a
It
year,
was
you see.
June last year, right?
Something like that. I'd have to double check that again.
Okay, okay. So let's just do this off the top of our heads. We don't need technology for everything
Yeah.
necessarily, even though my questions are on the computer because I'm not Muslim, so I had to write them
Mm.
down.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
It seems like January last year was stalled, even though we had the Bitcoin ETF. It seems like I'm not sure that after Eid last year is when Bitcoin went crazy. Do you
Mm.
think that there's a possibility that it was correlated to basically the situation with Ramadan and people not being able to necessarily trade? Because we're seeing that now. A lot of
Yeah.
countries like Pakistan and a lot of Muslim scholars are saying you have to go
Mm.
ahead. Apparently, even during Ramadan, because Pakistan legalized it during Ramadan, literally like a few days ago. So,
Mm.
is it possible that last year there was a correlation between? I mean, do you think it was correlated, or was it just a coincidence that that everything happened after Eid was finished?
Yeah, because obviously the first Eid last year was in April time. I did notice actually because it did pump quite a bit during that period, but
So there was
it's
a correlation. Like after Eid, there was a pump.
in this situation there was, but that's only because hold on a second. No, actually, the pump actually happened in February 2024. So when it came to actually like for what's it called Eid period, yeah, people actually selling then when it did happen. So
Wait, during or right before Eid they sold?
it is around that period where like during that period they'd sell because they want to buy things for the family and that sort of thing. So if they did make their profits, that's what they'd be doing.
Obviously, UAE is one of the biggest countries in the world for cryptocurrency. It's the
Yeah.
second crypto capital. It was the crypto capital of the world before the U.S. Well, before we elected President Trump here in the U.S. and we decided that the U.S. was going to be the crypto capital. It was UAE, so it makes sense. Okay, so how do you manage fasting and crypto trading during Ramadan, and have Sharafi and Maliki strategies shaped market cycles? Into your belief, to your knowledge, from 2010 to 2025?
Yeah, so for that one, I'm not really too sure about because obviously the other sectors I'm not very familiar with, apart from like some of the basics of that. So for them, it really depends on their mindset of if they want to trade on that. Because some people, they just take a break from completely during Ramadan and then get into trading afterwards. And whereas there's some people out there that do it just on the side whilst
So what you're
in the
saying is
prayers
that
and
they
stuff.
trade before Eid, before Ramadan begins. They sell everything off, and they trade after Eid, and they don't trade at all. Not even during when you break fast from sunset to sunrise. Is that correct?
I wouldn't say that they sell it all off. They probably hold on to it, but sometimes they just have the notifications off so that
So
they
just
don't get
holding is
distracted.
okay. So sometimes just holding throughout the whole 30 days, right, of Ramadan
Yeah.
is fine. In your view, if I were Muslim and I were to buy Bitcoin the day before Ramadan began, or minutes before Ramadan began, the sunrise, that would be halal. And I could just hold, not look at any cryptocurrency, do not do any trades until Eid, and that's fine.
I'd say so. Yeah. However, it just depends on because I'm looking back on the Hanafi and like the Maliki. Obviously, with the Hanafi, it's got that pragmatic trading strategy. So it's not really crypto based, but general trading. And then the Maliki, that's the one that is more adaptive during Ramadan. But for us, we don't really. It's not really recommended because it's meant to be like a spiritual month. So for us, it's one of those where you
For
just
you,
want to.
for your sector is not recommended, correct?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah,
Okay. And obviously, I just want to set this basis for what we're talking about. There's different sectors of the Muslim faith, and for people that are
yeah,
watching that are Christian, I can't talk to Judaism. I was raised Pentecostal Christian, but I'm originally from a Catholic family. My parents are from the Dominican Republic, which is very Catholic. We do have different parts of. We have they call it denominations in the U.S. of the Christian religion. So I just want to make sure that for people that maybe watching this are Christian understand that you're talking about different parts of Islam. It's not something that's so far fetched. It's something that, for my knowledge, Christianity and Islam both share that we have different denominations, different sects. So on the Maliki, right? You talking about them, right? How have
mm,
Maliki and Halif economic views? I hope I pronounced them correctly. Economic views influenced XRP and Solana borrowings after Eid, 2010 to 2025, in Muslim majority crypto hubs. Okay, so obviously this question, nobody is really boring. This is how I'm gonna shape it, right?
mm, yeah.
Do you believe that Solana and XRP the past week, bless you, the past week
Okay.
we've had XRP basically in the US have regulatory clarity, full regulatory clarity, because the United States Securities and Exchange Commission decided to drop the case that they began in 2000 against Ripple
Mm,
Labs, which owns the majority of XRP, and basically that's their token. And Solana just launched on two places. This might be news to you, by the way.
okay.
The Chicago Mercantile Exchange is the biggest mercantile exchange in the world.
Mm,
They, on Monday, this past Monday, launched Solana futures. You can buy 25 to 500, I believe, Solana in the futures market. And we just had Solana ETFs go live in the New York Stock Exchange, Nasdaq. I forget which one, on Thursday. Do you believe, based on what I'm telling you right now, that Solana and XRP will explode post Eid, or do you think that there's no correlation at all?
Um. So I'd say it's probably one of those where I think if because obviously the financial year is coming up as well. I don't know how it works with like the the Muslim majority countries with their financial years, but sometimes uh, people actually might want to hold on to their tokens during that period so that they don't pay any taxes from that from that point period. So it's one of those that's sort of like hard to say in terms of if things will change drastically. Um, so for that one, I'm not really too sure on what I believe would happen.
Okay, as a Muslim, let's say that you have a hedge fund, right? Or you know what a hedge fund is, obviously. Let's say you have a hedge
of
fund.
course, yeah,
You're gonna say basically say, I'm Dominican American, as in I got my second citizenship. My hedge fund that we're gonna be opening up in the next year or so, once we hit the probably in the early 2026, quarter one or quarter two of 2026, is gonna be focusing on the US and Latin America. But basically say I'm an American, I have access to Latin American markets, Latin American understanding. This is how we're gonna market ourselves. If
yeah,
you were to open a hedge fund and most of your clients were basically people from the Muslim world, people in the UK that are Muslim, let's just say you want to market it that way. People from the UAE, United Arab Emirates, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, etc. What can traders learn from 2010 to 2024 Ramadan cycles for 2025? And how might Hanafli, Maliki, Sharif, Hanbali, the different denominations of the Muslim faith. I hope I'm doing you guys justice, and I'm not bursting these names because I want to be respectful to the religion. I love that religion.
yeah.
And Hanbali views guide your strategy. What are you going to say to people? Okay, listen, we're opening this hedge fund. You have a lockup period of minimum 5 years. You have a surrender fee if you pull your cash out, asking for your cash back at the end of year five. During Ramadan cycles, this is what's gonna happen. What would you say to people? Would you just say, not forget it during I mean, we're holding it for 5 years anyway, so don't even look at the markets during Ramadan.
Yeah.
Is that what you would do say to people?
Um, Sorry about that. I was just double checking something with the charts and like the Bitcoin
Hey,
thing
you're
and like,
it's still
the
doing
past of that.
Ramadan. Hey, don't do anything haram. Hopefully you're not taking any meme coin charts, right? No meme coin charts for you.
No, did only Bitcoin and Ethereum was
Good.
checking
Utility
Solana.
tokens.
Yeah.
Bitcoin might be a meme coin. I'm kidding. It's not a meme coin. Obviously, it's a short value. But apparently you don't mind looking at utility tokens during Ramadan, but how would you market this to your clients of different Muslim sectors, of the four major Muslim sectors?
Um, in terms of which token are you referring to?
No, I'm just talking about in general. Because if you're going to open a hedge fund, you're going to basically, I don't know,
Yeah.
let's just say 60% Bitcoin, 20% Ethereum. You're going to be like 2% in meme coins. I don't know, like 15% in, I'm just throwing out numbers,
Yeah.
15% in Sui and Solana. Like, what would you say if you have this hedge fund? You're asking investors for $250,000 minimum each. People are investing $250,000, they're investing 10 million, they're investing for 5 years. This is a hedge fund strategy.
All
What are
right.
you going to say to your investors during Ramadan? Like during Ramadan, next 5 years during Ramadan, X, Y, Z. What are you saying? How are you marketing this?
In terms of how I'd be hold in the percentage wise of what I'd be
No,
hold
no, 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 no.
what they'd be
How are you
holding.
marketing to your investors? You're a hedge fund. You're an institution. You're saying
Yeah.
invest $250,000 into my hedge fund. I'm managing it. It's all cryptocurrency. What are you going to tell them next 5 years during Ramadan? Are you going to say don't even look at the markets, or what are you doing during like what are you going to market to your Muslim investors? How are you going to market this?
So obviously, I'd go for the ones that have the ETFs that's already available. So, which is giving us valid, making
What
it
I'm
more
asking you
valid
is
in terms
if
of
I'm
its.
Muslim and I'm gonna say I'm okay, I'm gonna invest in your institution. Here's $5 million for
Yeah.
5 years. I'm afraid that I might be doing something haram by having my money in there in Ramadan periods. What are you gonna say to me?
Um, as in like as a hedge fund owner, is it? So
Yes,
I'd
that's correct.
basically, yeah. So basically, what I'd ensure them is, like all the money that we're using is not going to go to, it's not used from like people that like gamble and, that isn't like using it for like bad purposes and that sort of thing, really. So I'd simply say to them like these are all like utility tokens that are used to create value, and if you were to like, hold on to them, have these hedge funds and hold on to them for the
So
next few
your hedge
years.
fund is not investing in any meme coins. All you're doing is utility
Okay,
tokens that are halal.
that's
Is
correct.
that
Yeah.
correct?
So there's no. Yes, right. Yes, there's no meme coins. It's one that only hold a value, and you can refer it to just like the stock market, except that it's going to perform much better than that. And you know, I'd I'd say to them that like obviously, it's going to be very volatile, but in the long run, based on the charts that I've shown to them, it's something that will like grow over that period. So I say to them like, if you're to invest in the next 5 years, it should at least like double in price, something like that.
All right. I mean, that's great. Um, Honestly, the Muslim world is a place that really interests me. I have a lot of interest in it for obvious reasons. I lived again with
Mm.
people from Sudan, and hopefully the civil war ends there soon. And once the civil war ends there, I'm going to be planning a trip over to Sudan and the UK as well. Don't forget. I haven't. It's on my list. I've been to the UK before. I love that country. Hate the weather. Not a fan of the traditional Anglo-Saxon food, but I'm sure that with you, I'll have really yummy Bangladeshi treats. But
Yeah.
with that being said, anything else that you want to say to people? Well, this is the last week. We're going to the last week of Ramadan. Any last thoughts? You can say anything you want. Stay strong, Muslim brothers. Anything you want. I don't care. Go. You have the floor.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, if you're like a Muslim, I just say that like if you're feeling a bit tired and stuff, there's only a few more days left before Eid, so I'd say like try to stay positive, do your prayers, and stay away from like the haram activities, and you know try to stay closer to God or Allah in this case.
All right. With that being said, brother, upwards and onwards. I'll see you really soon in our meeting, okay? Weekly meeting.
Yeah, see you soon. Yeah,
Ciao.
bye.